everyone. Thanks for joining us today. This is Loree Olsen from AZCOMP Technologies, and today we're going to be talking about how to set up ICD-10 codes. So the common question that we get is, does Medisoft come with ICD-10 codes preloaded? The answer to that question is no. So without going into all the full details of everything that everything ICD-10 and how to set up everything in Medisoft, I'm just going to specifically focus on your options for how to set up your ICD-10 codes or how to load them into the system, what options you have for that. So just that one little narrow answer to your ICD-10 question. We do offer a full ICD-10 training webinar series that goes more in depth to give you all the information you'd need to know about Medisoft and ICD-10, but today we're going to focus just on this. So the options for loading ICD-10 codes into Medisoft, there's really 4 options for you. The first one is just to manually set up or enter the codes in yourself. The second option is to use ICD-10 mapping tool. So if you're converting to Medisoft 20 from a previous version, then you do have that ICD-10 mapping tool available to you. And then we have a few additional options that are add-on products. So they're not going to come with your core product, but they might have been something that you purchased as part of your offering or upgrade. But they are a separately purchased product, and that's Codes on Disk, and then the last one is ENCODER Pro. I'm going to give you a quick preview of how to do that, how each of these 4 options work within the system. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Medisoft version 20, which is our ICD-10 compliant version, our latest version of the product. And we're going to jump right into the diagnosis code list. So you'll see in the diagnosis code list, when I click on New, if you're coming from older versions of the product, this window has changed a bit. And the way that we handle ICD codes when we set them up now are this top 1 code with description is really just an internal code. So you could literally put anything that you wanted in there. You really always could, but typically what practices will do is, in the past you actually set code as your ICD-9 code. So we're encouraging you to go ahead and set up your new codes for ICD-10 by entering code as your ICD-10 code. Okay, so I'll go ahead and set one up right here. All right, and then since this is an ICD-10 code, I can hit copy down here, and then that will fill in those ICD-10 fields for me. And the bottom portion is important because while you're in transaction entry and viewing data in other parts of the program, you're going to see that internal code. However, when it comes to actually processing your claims, so what's going to print out on your HCFA form or what you're going to send electronically to the clearinghouse or payers is going to pull from these fields down here. And there's additional setup that needs to be done for ICD-10 in order for all that to function properly, but again, that's included in more detail in our ICD-10 webinar series. But just in short, that's what you need to know, is that everything in the system, your insurance carriers at an insurance level and at an effective date level, meaning it's going to know when to start pulling the ICD-10 code versus the ICD-9 code. So it really helps you manage the product, your billing a bit easier if you've got that, if it's properly set up. So you do want to have, of course, your ICD-10 code. The other thing that you can do is you can map back what the ICD-9 code was for that, for this ICD-10 code, and enter in that ICD-9 information there. And the benefit of doing that is that there are some scenarios that you're going to need to have the ICD-9 codes for. There are some insurance payers that are exempt from the ICD-10. So if you deal with any like work comp or auto injury, you might need to submit claims with ICD-9 to some payers and submit claims to ICD-10 with other payers. And that's why we'd really encourage you to do the mappings as well, it's going to help you as you're getting ready for this transition. So if you're involved in testing or anything else, or if you're just trying to learn the ICD-10 codes today and still send your claims out in ICD-9, then you would want to have the mapping set up properly so that you no longer have to worry. You can just start using the new codes, and then the claims are going to pull the appropriate code on there. Otherwise, you do have to pay attention and know when you should use a code and when you shouldn't. So once we get more past that October 1st date, that may or may not be an issue for your practice, again, depending on rebillings and some of, again, those exceptions to the rule. So in short, if I'm manually entering it up, I will set that up. I don't happen to actually know the mapping for that ICD-9, so I'm going to leave that out, and I'm just going to hit save. Okay? Oh, I guess I've already saved it. All right, so your other option that you have, that's number one. You can see, obviously, the downside of that is it's going to take a bit of time, and there is room for error as I'm keying things in myself. So included in Medisoft version 20, you're also going to have your, if you go to your tools and your services, you're going to have this great feature called ICD-10 mappings. And what this tool does is it looks at the GEMs, the general equivalency mappings that were produced by CMS, or at least by CMS, and it's going to, instead of just loading the entire ICD-10 library to your database, what it's going to do is look at the codes that you already currently use. So it's going to be specific to what you're using right now or what you've already set up in ICD-9. So if you are brand new to the product, you don't have any codes in the system, this is not necessarily the tool for you. However, if you are upgrading your product and you have existing ICD-9 codes in your converted data, then you can pull this tool up, and there are two tabs to it. There's our one-to-one mappings. So it's going to look for, it's going to look at your existing codes. Again, this is whatever I've already loaded into my system. And then I'm just going to pick on this one right here. It's ankle pain. If I check that off, it's going to create a new code for me, and it's going to include both the ICD-9 and the ICD-10. You could select them all, but some people are using this as a way to clean up their codes as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say just create that selected code, and it's going to map it successfully. You could do it in bulk and be done in just a few minutes to have all those loaded in. So that's our one-to-one mappings, and then you also have the other mappings over here. And these are really designed around if there are additional options, you know, for you. So, for example, like if I were to look at insect bite here, if that's going to map to multiple options under ICD-10, there's not really a straight one-to-one match for map for that. Then I can come in here and again check them all and load them all, or just select the ones that I think I might use in my practice and then load them. So that is the mapping tool. One thing to note about that mapping tool is it's a great start, but in general it does find more of the unspecified codes for your practice. So for example, if you're dealing with laterality and things like that, it may not suggest for you if there's a left or a right. It's really just going to go straight to the unspecified. There has been a recent update on using unspecified codes to bill CMS, or to bill Medicare, I'm sorry. So we do have a post on our blog regarding that. If you haven't subscribed to our blog before or been to our blog before, as we get news and information, we always post that up there for you and try to point out how it relates to you and your products. So if you go to azcomp.com.blog, you can find this article about the 1-year grace period for ICD-10. And one of the things that is highlighted as part of this grace period is that use of non-specified codes will still be paid. So they have, they recognize that this is a big transition for everyone, and they are going to allow payments still for those unspecified codes. They're going to give you a year to kind of start learning and using the more specified codes. So that mapping tool is still going to successfully get you moving forward. However, again, the purpose of this is to help you with the transition, so they want you to start using the more specified codes, and you may find that you need to load additional codes into your system in order to get those more specified codes. And that kind of leads us to our other options that we have available of how you can build your library. So another option that we have is going to be your, let me minimize this here, is a product called Codes on Disk. Codes on Disk resides outside of Medisoft. You can launch it from your desktop after it's installed. And there are several features to Codes on Disk. I'm just going to specifically talk about ICD-10. So I'm going to jump right into this ICD-10 option, choose that we're going to load codes, and you choose which practice. So you can load codes to multiple practices, which is a nice benefit for that. I'm going to choose my practice here, and then this is going to pull up my list of everything that I can select from. Instead of doing manual entry, it's a real quick way to just check, 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 merge, and it's done, right? So you can either select the entire ICD-10 library and just load it all in there, and some people do that. Or if you want to, maybe not have to manage every single code in your particular database, you can just load the codes that are more specific to you. And even that process of just checking them off will still be faster. So just to point out another resource for you, if you go to Road to 10, if you have not heard about this before, this is CMS's website that they've established to assist small physician practices with the transition to ICD-10. There's a lot of great information on this site. One thing I'll just point out is they do have these specialty references, and they're adding more all the time. So you can find information here, such as if I go to my family practice, it's going to tell me like some of the common codes that you may deal with and give you suggestions on that. So in here you could, obviously you may work off of a much more extensive list than this, but that's just one way that you could potentially start to narrow down or find the codes that you would use. There are actually gyms that are specific. They have other lists that are specific to specialties as well that can help you with that. But to show you how you might use that with the codes on disk, I could come in here and say, okay, go ahead and just show me all my J02 codes, and you can see in here I could just check, check, check whichever ones I wanted, then pull up my next one, and then when I'm done, I'm just going to hit merge, and it's all done for me. It's accurate. I don't have to worry about whether I've miskeyed or not. And again, that's just one of the features of Codes on Disk. There's a few other cool things that are in that product that we talk about in one of our other webinars. So that's option number 3 for you. Our last option that we have is also an add-on product, but it's integrated directly into Medisoft. So this product is called ENCODER Pro. And if you are interested in a little bit of peace of mind with your product, we do offer a subscription-based model of Medisoft. So with that subscription model, you get Medisoft, the latest version of Medisoft, and you never have to worry about, upgrading or anything like that, because the upgrades are always available to you as part of that subscription. So you're just going to pay a low monthly fee, and you'll get all the upgrades. You'll also get the installation, your data conversion, and your technical support is all part of that package for usually less than what you would pay for everything up front. You just pay a low monthly fee as part of a monthly subscription option, and right now we're also including in that package ENCODER Pro for free. So you would also get this product if you are on the Medisoft subscription. So the way the ENCODER Pro works is when I'm in the program in the diagnosis list, I can click on New right here, and you'll see that it adds a little button to the right-hand side for ENCODER Pro. So it is completely integrated into the system, and then when I click on that, it's going to launch ENCODER Pro for me. Now, ENCODER Pro is going to give you a lot more than just a list of codes like I've shown you in the last few features. ENCODER Pro is actually going to replace your coding books. So one of the nice things is you can search by using layman terms or lay descriptions. So if I wanted to put like HTN, I can search by that, and which is one of the limitations sometimes of just locating a code right, because you might call it something different than the clinical term for it that's in the coding book, for example. And you can see that I'm not thumbing through a book or anything like that. It's just taking me directly to all the options that might have that in it. You have the option of either searching for ICD-9 or ICD-10. And why I say it replaces your coding books is because you can drill down from here to find information. And it is going to include things such as, like if I were to just choose the 401 by itself, you can see that it's telling me, hey, there's an additional digit required. Here's everything that it includes. Here's everything that it excludes. And it even gives me links to click on those options to get more, jump directly over to those if I need to. And then when I find my particular code, then it does allow me, you can see it down here in the lower left-hand corner, whatever I choose, it's going to put down here. And one of the great benefits is it also includes the mapping. So I can either go backwards or forwards, meaning I could start with ICD-9, a code that I'm familiar with. I can even search for that code and find it, and then I can look to see what the ICD-10 code for that would be, and I can map it. I'm going to actually pull up the ankle pain one that just to kind of show you the differences. I'm going to pull up ankle pain, the one that we created with that mapping tool in Medisoft. When we mapped it in Medisoft, it actually was this 719.47, and under ICD-10, it actually only gave us the one-to-one mapping of unspecified. So you can see with this tool, you'll actually get to see what all the options are, and then when you select those, you can choose that's the one I need today. I'm going to go ahead and map that and hit OK. And then it will come in here and create that code for you. Okay. So again, without going into total detail about ENCODER Pro, you can see it's a much more sophisticated tool that replaces the cost of having those coding books and makes it a whole heck of a lot easier for you to find your codes and to even map them properly, which I think is a really great thing to do in your system, because it will really help you through this transition to have the codes mapped and not just created as individual either IC9 or ICD-10 codes. And that kind of wraps up what our options are today. So in closing, I'm going to go ahead and just review kind of the pros and cons of each one of those for you, just to reiterate what your options are. The first, again, is your manual entry. The pros on that is it's your codes your way, kind of like that Burger King motto. Make it with your terms and descriptions so it's easy for you to find, and you have all the, you can set it up however you want. The cons on that, of course, were that, kind of skip right past that, but the cons were that it's going to take a little bit longer usually for you to do that, and there is room for error. The ICD-10 mapping tool that comes standard with the product is that it's going to use the gems and look at the codes that you currently have in your system, and really quick and easily it's going to load all the mapped codes for you. So the only downside of that one is that, again, it's not always going to show you more than just the unspecified code. A lot of the mappings are just going to go to those unspecified. So while you may be good in the short term, you really may find that you're going to have to start adding additional codes for some of the scenarios where there might be something more specific that you could be coding for. And then we have that codes on disk add-on. The pros on that one is that we have that bulk import capability. There are additional features that come with it. The con on it is it does not include code mapping between ICD-9 and ICD-10. And then finally, our ENCODER Pro option, it's integrated directly in Medisoft. It is going to replace your coding books. It does include the code mappings, and it's super easy to search and gives you a bunch of additional information and tools. The con on that one is that the codes must be imported one at a time. So it's not like a bulk type scenario. It's kind of, you can either go in there ahead of time and just, go through your super bill or whatever and pull them in individually, or as needed. You always have access to that full library, so you can find your codes and import them as needed. And that really wraps up today's informational session on how to load codes into Medisoft. If you have additional questions, you can call us at 877-544-4433. If you are not already subscribed, we keep you up to date with the latest and the greatest in current news at our blog, through our blog. So you can go to www.azcomp.com/blog. And if you want information such as information on the grace period from CMS, if you want to read up more about any of those types of things or anything Medisoft or industry news, join us there. If you subscribe, you automatically get those updates as they're posted. If you want more in-depth ICD info, please join us for our ICD training webinars. And if you were interested in that Medisoft total subscription bundle package, please give us a call, and we're happy to get you pricing and information on that as well. Thanks again for joining us today, and good luck with everything moving forward with ICD-10.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video and found it helpful. If you did, let us know by giving us a thumbs up by clicking on the like button below. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to write those in the comments section below. And if you want to get more helpful videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks.